All right, welcome GOP group. We're going to post this on the GOP page and probably my YouTube channel. I'm taking a page out of Kevin Moist, interviewing people in the local area. So I'm your host, Jerry Jr. Most of you guys know me. We got Steve Warren here, my buddy that's also in the GOP, one of the admins that helped us create the group. We're just going to do a little talk about darts and what we do in the area and how Steve got to be a dart player and be as good as he is because he whips my ass all the time, right? So, you ready for your interview?
Oh, we're going to find out, my friend. We're going to find
We're
out.
putting you on the spot because he didn't want to do this, and I told him, I said, we're not going to rehearse all these questions and answers because we want it to be real. And as we started talking about stuff, I said, stop. We're just going to go live right now with it because if most of you know me, it's one take. There's no redos, so if we stutter and fuck up our words, it makes it for a better video, right?
Well, we're going to find out, Jerry. I do want to, full disclosure here, I've been in the pool swimming and I've been drinking beer, so if I say something to offend anybody out there, blame it on Jerry.
Hey, I've been going all day cooking food and everything. We hope everybody had a good 4th of July because that's when we're recording this.
Salute.
All right, let's get this underway. So, let's talk about darts.
Let's do it, buddy.
Where did you start playing darts and what got you into this game? You picked up a dart at somebody's house or did something because you didn't have a board. You played it somewhere. Where to start?
Well, I don't know how long we got in this video, but I'll try to make it short. I was 16 years old and I was working at a grocery store in Kettering, Ohio. And every Friday we got paid and go in there and get your check. And I'd see the guys in the meat department, they would leave and they'd go down to the end of the shopping center and they'd go to a bar called Cat's Lounge. And so I got to go with them after about a year. I got invited to Cat's Lounge. And I'm underage and the bartender's like, he's underage, but the guys I was with like
most of us at that time could get into a bar underage. That was still when it was allowed for. That shit don't fly no more.
It don't fly
back
no more.
then.
It
was the same thing for me. I was 20 sneaking into the Matador and sneaking beers before they caught me and realized I had 30 days left till I was 21. They said stop drinking and you can still play.
Yeah, exactly.
Same zero.
So I had to open up Steve's mother that, hey, Steve's old enough to get in.
Yeah.
So anyways, they'd sit around drinking, and after 2 beers, I'm drunk. But I saw these boards on the wall, and I saw people playing them, and I was never good at just sitting on a bar stool drinking. And I either shoot.
I gotta play games.
I gotta do something.
Something.
So I saw these guys playing, and one of the guys left the darts sitting there. He left and never came back for his darts, and I just picked them up and started throwing.
Fucking thief.
No,
Oh.
it gets better. Come on,
Okay.
I threw for about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm like, this is really cool. And he came back in. He's like, hey, man, I left my darts here. I'm like, these? And we just started bullshitting, and I went out. Bought a set of darts, the big brass piece of shit that are about this big around that you got to throw them like this, and that's how I got into darts. And
so at some point from there, you're like, okay, I'm getting pretty good at this. I want to play competitive, right? So now you're gonna play tournament or league or something?
Well, I was dating a girl, and she liked to go to this bar called Bruns up in Kettering. This is in Dayton, Ohio. Kettering, Dayton, just side by side. And they had some boards in there, and guys were throwing darts, and I'm like, I've thrown darts. I can do this. And it turns out I was okay. And they said, hey, we need a 5th on a 4-man team. And I said, all right, I'll do it. And got in the league.
So at some point you left Ohio and came down to Florida next or somewhere else?
Well, I played there for quite a few years. I was up there. I spent 30 years in Dayton, Ohio, and then I moved down to Pensacola. I'm in Pace, but moved down here in 2003. So 22 years. My 5-year plan went to shit, so I'm still here.
So you moved down here in the Florida area, right? The Panhandle. Where did you discover darts? Where's the first bar back then in 2000 something that you said, oh, they got darts and started playing?
Oh, well, I had a house built over at Pace, and it wasn't ready, so I lived with my aunt and uncle for a few days. That didn't turn out too good, so I got asked to go find a hotel somewhere. So it was the Stay at Home right next to Chancey's. Over there on Davis Highway.
Oh, wow. Not very good to now.
What a shithole. It was horrible. And after
and
about
not to interrupt, but I get to enjoy drinking while he gets to keep talking, so keep going.
So after about 3 or 4 days of trying to start a business, I'm a real estate appraiser, trying to start a business, coming home and trying to work in this little shitty hotel room, I'd go to Chancey for a beer or two, and I met the infamous Q. Archie Quayson's
Archie
sister.
Q's sister.
Yes,
Woo!
and she was a bartender there, and my God, what a great dart player
She was phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. And,
If nobody got the experience of Archie Q's sister, she was, if not the best, definitely one of the best in this area. She was a beast.
yeah, and you should have seen her play darts.
Nah,
just kidding.
Hey, Archie, we love you, brother.
Just kidding, brother. No, she was absolutely awesome. Told me about a tournament at Shane's
On
over
Olive Road,
on
Shane's.
Olive
I used to go
Road.
on Thursday nights.
Yes, that's
Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I started going up to Shane's, and first person I met when I walked in was Glenn Nutt. He's no longer in this area. I think he's up in Birmingham,
Okay.
Montgomery, or something like that. And we just started just bullshitting, and didn't know anybody in the place. And Jackie was running the tournament. She's a bartender. And you reach in the bag, draw a chip like we do to this day. And I draw a chip, and he goes, "Who'd you draw?" I said, "A guy named Johnny Bush."
Oh, fuck.
And yeah. And he goes, "You got Johnny." And I remember saying, "Is he
Who's
any good?"
Johnny?
I said, "Is he any good?" He's
No.
like, he just said, "Fuck you, Steve."
Yeah.
And so I met Johnny Bush that night. And
Well, that's enough to get you hooked already.
yeah, it was. So
You know, we can continue talking about Shane's for a lot because that was one of my starts too, as we were talking earlier before this. Is, you know, I worked at the dog track and I worked nights. There wasn't too many times I could get a night off, and if I did, I wanted to go to a dart tournament. So every now and then, Shane's was such a good tournament, I would take Thursday nights off just to go there to play in the tournament. And that's where I met a lot of these other people that I didn't get to play a lot because I couldn't play league and everything because working nights prohibits all that. But Shane's on Olive Road was a very, very good turnout for so long, and anybody in Pensacola, if you're around that time, went through Shane's. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. A small little bar. They had 3 boards. I would have played on 2, if you remember that.
Yeah.
There were 2 boards. And that place was packed. But my God, it was a who's who of darts.
Yeah.
And man, what a great experience. Playing there and talking to Johnny that night, he told me that on Saturdays they had a tournament at a place called the Angler.
No.
The Angler.
Angler. Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
I hadn't till then. So,
So you go to the Angler and start playing darts.
Go to the Angler, start playing darts.
So are you getting any good at this point?
Well, I got to say, spending 30 years in Ohio, I become somewhat of an accomplished player. I was never a great player, but I was a decent player. Going to the Angler, guy that always would come up to me and shake my hand was Flipper. Dave Garrett would always say, "Steve, let's go play a game." And they had the boards before that. They moved the boards around. You had the pool tables and the boards. They had a couple more warm-up
They
boards.
changed configurations for a
They
while
did.
as the tournaments grew. They had to adapt, and that was the great thing about that bar. They catered to darts. They knew that's what brought the people in there.
Absolutely. So if there's one thing I say about the dart community, and Flipper exemplified this, is as long as you're not an asshole, it's very receptive to everybody.
Yeah.
Just don't be a jerk. And that's all across this country. So really the first person I became good friends with was Flip.
Wow.
And started playing Luck the Draws. And the rest is kind of history. That was the best dart bar in Pensacola for a long time. And
Yeah.
it's horrible that it flooded. And salute to Matt.
That
Horrible what
ran it
happened
for
there.
so many years, and he was the glue that held everybody together. And you know, we can relate because running the GOP or running league and running the dart boards in the area, and you know, I don't want to say they're problems, they're issues that come up and things that you have to address as a league manager or the treasurer, and you know, being on a committee for something. There's always something that goes on, and Matt literally did it by himself.
He did.
He took in the consideration of the people that knew how things should run or were level-headed, and he listened to everybody no matter what the problem was, and he was the glue that held that together. That was the bar everybody went to.
It really was.
We could have a whole session talking about the Angler and everybody that we talk to and play that still comes to old fuckers and who's moved away.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Jerry. We haven't got that far in the conversation
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, this is obviously at least going to be a 2-part video because I like to keep the videos at about 10-15 minutes and cut them off because people get bored after a while. But
Well, your beer's getting low too, there, bud.
yeah, so we're going to have to get another beer and refresh in a minute. But what's left about the angler to talk before we go into the next phase and go on to the next session? I mean, you obviously played a lot. Did you play league there or just tournaments?
I started playing league here with, first team I played on with Glenn Nutt, a couple of the fellows. That Rick Parker's one of them.
Rick Parker.
Ron Daddy, if you're out there, Ron Daddy. Had a great time, and league was always really, really cool. That's when old Floyd Steiner ran the leagues. There's a name we haven't talked about.
Floyd. So wow.
God rest his soul,
and I should have mentioned that in my video too, because when I started off at the Sleepy Hollow, Floyd was like the president or vice president, and that was the first guy that, damn it, I just couldn't beat that motherfucker, and it irritated me. And he wasn't cocky in any way, but he just had this nonchalant thing that I was like, I just gotta beat that guy, and I wasn't gonna stop until I could. Eventually, I could, but. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time, buddy. You're right, Floyd. I remember that. Thank you.
Floyd, he ran the Tuesday League, and then Archie and Sheila, they did the Wednesday League. I believe it was Archie and Sheila did the Wednesday League. And at that time, we had a women's league on Thursday, and then there was Luck of the Draws on Friday and Saturday. So there was always a night of the week, takeaways Sundays, Mondays, because us star players, we got to recuperate sometimes. We got to rehydrate sometimes.
Sorry about all the fireworks. Like we said, it is 4th of July in case you hear them popping in the background. But, man, sounds like a good time. Well, we're going to end this part 1. And it sounds like we're going to need a part 2 at some point.
We're definitely going to need a part 2, brother. Hell yeah.
But unfortunately for you guys, you're not going to see part 2 for a couple days. So after we post this, stick around for part 2, and we'll see you on the boards. Let's do a good punch. Ready? See you on the boards. Pow!